Recorded Books and One Click Digital present The Manor, 3 Centuries at a Slave Plantation on Long Island, by Mac Griswold, narrated by Christina Moore.
Preface. When I began my research for this book in 1997, I became the tourist that the cultural geographer J.B. Jackson described as the solitary, uninformed traveler setting out, hardly knowing why, in search of a new kind of pleasure and a new kind of knowledge. I found both at Sylvester Manor on isolated Shelter Island, set between the North and South Forks of Long Island. It is the only former slaveholders' plantation north of the Mason-Dixon line that still exists with papers, architecture, and landscape all in one place to tell its story. The property remains in the hands of the 11th generation of the European colonists who settled there in 1651. The graves of Africans and Manhasset Indians lie quietly under the pines. Though I have walked through dozens of historic landscapes, some abandoned and others restored, I never felt the immediacy of history so intensely as at Sylvester Manor. What sounds did these Shelter Islanders hear? What did they eat? How did they talk? What did they smell and smell like? Which cultural traditions, social ambitions, and political forces had shaped their experiences? I needed to get a clear picture of how oppression, war, religious beliefs, and a morality that accepted chattel slavery had operated at Sylvester Manor. At first I saw only that a line ran from the canals of Amsterdam to this handsome, smallish house and to scientists and poets in 19th century Cambridge, Massachusetts. Soon the manor landscape swelled outward to include the Atlantic world as far as the West Indies and the slave trade castles of the African Gold Coast. What I saw at the manor was connected to the flow of people, ideas, plants, and animals from a dozen other landscapes on 4 continents. The written history of the manor has lasted for more than 3.5 centuries, but half of this book is devoted to its first 80 years, because, as Richard Rabinowitz, who in 2005 mounted the first exhibition about the pervasive presence of slavery in New York, said, "The founding of Sylvester Manor is as exciting as the moment when people stepped across the Bering Strait. Here, African, European, and Native American people came together to build an economic..."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?